today's fixing bugs and stuff, we're gonna go over door post repair. As you can see here, this door post still has some of the flange. Let me get a flashlight over here. You can see a little better. See, it still has the flange on it, and which is good. And what I did was I bought a new part for the door post. I can show that to you as well. I got this from CIP1. This is a new door post. I'll put them side by side here and grab it properly. Side by side, that's what it looks like. You can see this hole here is not exactly the same size, or it doesn't even have the chamfer like this one does. So I got this because I was expecting a lot of rot in this area, but there's not. There's some pieces that were rotten. I already started to cut away. I started to cut away the rot here. So what my plan is to cut along here and put in new metal. See this is cracked here. That's because it's weakened through time. And I'm sure rust got to it to cause that. So my plan is to cut out this area here and put in place here. That's what I'll do next. So I just want to finish cleaning this up, make sure I get all of the rust or the rot out. Also, here's a picture. You can see here a little bit of rot. It's not rot, it's mostly surface rust. So later on, I'm gonna go in there with a wire brush, just clean it up a little bit. Then I'll go over it with primer. I'll paint it with primer. There's also a special paint I want to use for tubing, sided tubing, and I'll show you that later, but we're not there yet. Something else to show you, there's a tube that goes inside of there, and I'll show you what that looks like. Hold on one second. Okay, normally this tube goes inside of here, and it wedges in that cavity, and it's meant for the heat coming from your heater channels. And there's a lot of room in here. It's very loose. And then it gets hooked up to this plastic piece here. And then out of this guy goes to your center defroster on the 66. The 66 has the center defroster. Mine's missing there, but it goes to the center defroster. And then this continues up inside of the car. Now, those of you who have older bugs, if you turn on the heat, you'll feel the heat come out of this area here, which is weird. But that's how it's designed. It was meant to be a defroster going this way. And later on, Volkswagen put it here in the center to kind of even it out. Again, the defroster on these cars are not great, so don't depend upon it, really. But anyway, this plastic piece sits inside of this area here. Sits inside of here. Okay, so you can see that this tubing here goes up to the center defroster, but then there's another tube. It's a metal tube. So I can show it to you. Right there. This guy right there. If you can see it, you focus in on it. That tubing gets hooked up, and that goes up to the side, what I mentioned earlier, on this corner here. And the air comes out of here and kind of defrosts. So it's a weird thing, but I'll hook it all back up like it's supposed to be. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. All depends what the weather is like outside. But anyway, that's what we're gonna be working with today. So let me get started on cleaning this up. Okay, now that I clean up this whole area here, okay, I'm gonna come off the bottom of this guy here. So I'll just put a dot here. This is at the bottom of the hole. It's like a little chamfer here. So I'm doing it right before the chamfer starts. And I'm probably gonna come down about 1/4 of an inch. So I'll mark that there. And I'll do it over here as well. Then I'll take the straight edge and I'll go all the way to where the paint starts, about right here. So I'll give you a better idea of what I'm talking about. So you can see here I marked down about 1/4 of an inch from this quadrant down to that dot. Then I made another dot here. So I'm gonna go straight across. And then I put a mark here so that way I don't go too far. So let me put the straight edge on here so it will cooperate. Doesn't have to be exactly straight, just straight enough. Give you a guide. Okay, that's good marked. Now I'm gonna go in this direction here. Wait. I'll go this way. Continue the mark over. Up to here. So that's where I'm going to stop there. So you can see it here. I'm going to cut it from here down all the way over. And I'm going to stop right about here. And I might have to do a cut going this way, straight down. This is what I'm going to replace. But I'm not going to go that far. I'm going to cut a little bit at a time and then go from there. Now, since this metal is kind of thin, it's not bad. Because there's a brace. If you see the picture before, there's a brace that's in there. Gives it extra support. So I may just cut this with the Dremel. Not sure yet. I do have other cutting wheels. So let's start with the small cutting wheel and then go from there. Good. Let me show you what it looks like on the side here. See, there's like a clearance in here. No big deal. That's where your door flange, your door goes in here. So you don't want to make this too tight because then you're going to have a hard time. Okay, I've marked it. This is where I'm going to be cutting. I'll cut this whole piece out here. Be a lot easier to manage. I'm going to go use the bandsaw, so I'll be right back. So I cut a piece off here. This should be good enough for me. I'm going to have to take off this back piece here. And there's a few spot welds. I think there's like 2 or 3. You can see them here. Either drill those out, and then this little piece should come right out. Okay, trim this piece. I took out that other piece out. So you can see these pieces, it's this sheet metal that's exposed. It's not really painted. So this sheet metal that you get, you have to double check and make sure they're fully painted. But anyway, this is what I have so far. You can see it kind of goes up in here pretty good. I'm gonna have to do some modifications to make it right. So that'll be next. So let me get it at least close enough. So when you're working with this, just grind a little bit. I would say grind about 1/16 or to 1/8 inch off each spot, like right here. Just go straight across and do slowly. There's no rush. You don't want to make any mistakes, so that's what I'm going to do next. I cut it down a little bit more, grind it down a little bit more. And this white line here, I'm going to cut it on the bandsaw. Of course, I always leave the extra material, always have extra. It's harder to put it back than to take it off. Right, so I put this sheet metal, mesh this flange with this flange here. Then you can see where the cut begins. And I just took a line going straight across to match that. So it's okay if you're gonna have like a little bit of a gap. You don't want to have a huge gap. The largest gap I like to have is 1/16 of an inch. So I'll just cut this. Right above the white line. Okay, grind this piece down close enough. Or want to attach it to the car. Now, the worst case, if it doesn't fit right, you can always bang this flange down, make it flat in this direction here, and that way you get more material when you put the heater channels on. But this looks good, sitting here as it is. As you can notice here, this kind of like bumps out here, so you're gonna have to hammer that in to make it straight. Again, these parts are not year specific, so you have to work with them. So let me get this together. I'm gonna clean this up, get the welder out, and put this in. Now I'm just gonna weld this on. There's a magnet here to hold it in place. I'm just gonna tack weld it just a little bit. I remove the magnet, I'm gonna tack weld the rest of it. Trying to hammer this in. I'm gonna cut a little bit here. I'm gonna use the Dremel to cut it. And I'm going to cut it just a little bit at a time and hammer a little bit in. I want to get the contour correct. So that's what I'll do now. Okay, I cut that little piece out, so I'm going to start banging it in. Hopefully it gets pushed into that gap. Okay, I hammered it in. Follow this contour here. Kind of bows in towards the car. So that's what I followed. Make sure that the door can close. So I'm just going to weld the rest of this back on. Make sure you don't weld too much in this area, because that's where the door flanges go. So you want to weld it here, just in that corner, and I'll weld the rest of it in, and we'll go from there. Okay, I finally welded everything. So I cleaned it up, I grind it down, pretty smooth. I know you can see a little bit of holes here. I may fill them in with some weld, or I may not, just may leave them alone. But everything's pretty strong. Came out pretty good. The last thing I gotta do is I gotta plug weld this guy here. And what I end up using is one of these. You can see one of these tools here. This is copper, and weld doesn't really stick to copper very well, so this is a good tool to use. You want to plug weld anything. So I'll stick it behind here like this, and then I'll just plug weld in here. That's what I'll do next. So it's kind of like a two-hand job, because there's no way to, because this has a magnet on the other end. It has a magnet on the other end. But unless I try to weld from this side, but it's hard to see. So I'm gonna try to fit this in here, right? And see what happens. Oh, I'm a little heavy on that. That copper piece was not holding very well. So I'm gonna grind that down and then show you what it looks like. Okay, guys, there you have it. I grind it down. It's a little bit of a dimple here or there. I can bang it from behind here if I need to straighten out that little piece. It's pretty good, pretty straight. Remember, follow the contour down. It's because the way this looks right now, because of the lighting, it looks like it's sticking out, but it's not. It follows pretty well. And that's basically it. I took some time off to not work on this bug project. I just needed some time off. No big deal, but I'm getting back to it. So again, everyone, please like, subscribe, and comment, and thank you for watching.